It is my great pleasure to welcome now the Rev Pam McMillan. We're talking about sweeping the threshold, Befana, Epiphany, and the paths between. Rev Pam.
It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. During the Creative Corner, I realized today that the best part about being the preacher is you basically get to have your own personalized Creative Corner. So I am delighted to be able to share with you a little bit about what has inspired me recently. One of my newfound favorite Christmas traditions has been going to Disney around this time of year. I am very lucky in that I have an annual pass, so I get to, being in Central Florida, you can just hop on over. It's only about an hour drive. And if you go to Epcot around the holidays, you know that there is the World Pavilion where you can hop around and see different parts. You can go to Germany, you can go to China, Japan. Well, at the holidays, one of the things that they do is that they have storytellers. They have special actors performing and telling stories about how Christmas and different holidays around this time of year are celebrated all over the world. It's a really wonderful, wonderful celebration. I highly recommend if you've never been. On one visit, I happened to stop by the Italy Pavilion to see an old friend, Jody, who had been cast in one of these storytelling roles. It was the first time I was introduced to a character by the name of La Befana, the Christmas witch of Italy. I see some head nods. I love that we're familiar. I'd never heard of La Befana before. Jody played this character absolutely beautifully. She was warm and delightful, but cackling and mischievous. She wasn't frightening, but just so full of delight. And I want to share with you just a little bit of a glimpse of her actual performance as this character, La Befana.
You got it. Hold on. About 1:30, right?
About that, yeah.
Okay. Oh, no. Back.
They say, my friends here say, there are no mean witches. So, we celebrate, huh? Buon Natale!
Buon Natale!
Ah, good, good! Yes, you know what this means, huh? Merry Christmas. This is my cookie, huh? Merry Christmas. My name is La Befana, and I am a witch.
I love a good cackle.
But I'm a good witch! I'm a good witch. You see, I wear the disguise, the scarf over my face. Do you know why? Because the mean witches, do you know what they do? They tease me, huh? Oh, I think that's because they are jealous, huh? Because I, La Befana, am the gift giver, huh? Yes, here in Italia. I bring the sweets and the treats to the good kids, huh? When they are good. But if you are not so good, what do I bring? Coal. Well, you said that very quickly. Oh, I recognize you now. Huh? No, I joke. In America, there is a gift giver, see? Yes? That's Chris Kardashian over here. Good to see you. That's you, ladies. You look up behind her. I love it. Okay, now, in America, there's a gift giver, see? He has a beard and he says, oh, ho, ho, ho. Who is this? Santa Claus! All right, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't mean to brag, but I have been bringing the bambini, the gifts, down the chimney long before old Saint Nick was a bambino himself. That just means I'm old, huh?
You can go
All
ahead.
right, now, Santa Claus.
Oh, okay.
It'd be tempting to sit and watch the whole thing,
Yes.
but there you can get a glimpse of her energy, her excitement, and the wonderful delivery she gives. And I have to confess, the first time I saw her perform as this character, I got teared up. Not only because Jody holds a special place in my heart, we have a shared friend that we have lost together, and so there's something very special and magical when I get to see her perform. But in hearing her tell this story, I was so moved by this particular character. I heard in her story echoes of themes that I deeply care about. The roads that we do not take, the possibilities that surprise us, the chance to sweep a new path for ourselves, and finding joy and meaning in unexpected places. Today I originally meant to be a time to talk about multiple stories of how Christmas is celebrated throughout the world, but I kept coming back to this character, La Befana, and the more I started to dig, the more I found about her unique character. And so I want this morning to be all about this sacred, mischievous Christmas witch. And so I'd like to begin, as Jody did in our video, by starting with how we say Merry Christmas in Italy, Buon Natale.
Buon Natale.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm not actually Italian, so please don't hold that against me. But La Befana is exactly what she sounds like. She is a Christmas witch. But she is, as she said, not a mean witch. She is a witch of kindness, of blessing, and of searching. Unlike Santa, she does not come on Christmas Eve, but she comes when? The night before the Epiphany. She comes on January 5th. Marking the close to the Christmas season and the arrival of the Magi. She travels, as she said, not with a sleigh, but with a broom and a sack full of treats. She leaves small gifts for the children, some candy and fruits for those who have been good, and a little bit of coal for those who have been bad. And perhaps my favorite, she always sweeps on her way out, leaving the home a little bit tidier than before she left. Here's some pictures of how, I love this etching. This is kind of shows how La Befana has been, she's been around for a long time, as she said. She's been delivering the gifts before St. Nicholas was a bambini himself. Some other pictures to display. There's a little La Befana Christmas witch doll. Next one. This one got me. In researching about this, La Befana, there are actually festivals all throughout Italy during the Christmas season, and this one cracked me up. As you can see, they are men dressed up as La Befana in a boat race. I have to go to see this. This just looks fabulous. And I think there's one more. That's right. This is just another great depiction of who she is. So as I said, she always sweeps on her way out, and this is not meant to be a judgment, but a blessing, a clearing for those who she visits. It's a way of readying the household for the year ahead. That's just the surface of the story, though. Underneath, there is so much more and a deeper tale. I want to start with the Christian telling, the one that Jody told at the Italian pavilion. And it's one about how she encountered the Magi for the first time. In the Christian telling, La Befana appears at the threshold. She explains in her story that long, long ago, the Roman Empire expanded far beyond what was just known as Italy and into the Middle East. La Befana lived in a little cottage where there was a mighty highway where many men and women would travel with their camels. One day she was sweeping outside, as was often meant to do, a lot of people did, and there 3 men appeared at her doorstep. They were speaking a foreign language, but she says that they were speaking with their hands, so she understood that as a good Italian. One word that they did say was Bethlehem. She understood that word, and they pointed towards the star that was above them, the mighty star that had been keeping her awake all night. They were asking for directions, how to go to Bethlehem. Unfortunately, she couldn't help them out, but she encouraged them, gave them gifts, and sent them on their way. They generously invited her along the way to join them on their journey. La Befana said, no, I cannot go. There's too much to do now. There's so much sweeping to do and household work. I can't go with you strange men in the middle of the night. So she sends them on their way and continues her household work. A few days later, a little shepherd boy comes to their house and said, La Befana, why are you not in Bethlehem to see the baby king that has been born? And all of a sudden, it clicks in her, that's where the men were going. That's what the men were going to see. And in some renditions, it tells that all of a sudden, in that moment when the shepherds arrived, the heavens opened up, angels started singing, and it was miraculous to her. Well, all of a sudden, she realizes she needs to go to Bethlehem immediately to see the baby king. So she then goes wanting to give something to the baby king because these three men, these three kings had such glamorous and beautiful gifts. She had to bring something. So she gathered scraps of fabric and fashioned a little doll to bring to the baby king. But by the time that she left her house, the star had vanished. The star was no more. And so yet that did not deter her. She continues on her way and she rides on her broom the night before the Epiphany, the night before the Magi arrive, and she goes into every household looking for the Jesu Bambini, the Christ child. She goes into every household looking and peering into each house, seeing the sleeping babies, looking to see if it is them. And because they are so sweet, she leaves them a gift. Whether it is Christ or not, she leaves a small something, a small token for each of them. Now, when Jody tells the story, when the La Befana tells this at Epcot, she reminds us that this is not a sad story, because in every little face that she sees, every child that she gets to bless with her gifts, she is reminded of the joy of Christmas and the miracle of that bright light that she saw once again. When I heard this story, what moved me so much was how deeply human it felt. Most of us know what it's like to realize it's too late, that we said no to something meaningful. Whether it's the relationship we didn't pursue, the calling we talked ourselves out of, or the trip we didn't take, the moment we were too overwhelmed or too tired or unsure to say yes. I don't know about you, but I have known what that is like. To walk away from something, to say no, and then to have the pain of regret for what we did not do and the paths not taken. But La Befana is not deterred. In this telling, she is in many ways a patron saint for late bloomers and second chances. She teaches us that the spiritual life is not ruined by a missed opportunity. We are not defined by the paths we did not take. Our journeys do not end with a single no. We can always begin again. We can always turn towards something new, away from regret and towards the light. Now, the other interesting thing about La Befana is that though there is a Christian telling, right, how she is connected to the Magi, and that is one of the most common tellings of La Befana, there is an intersection of Christianity and paganism. Her name actually holds clues for why that is the case. Befana, oftentimes some people will say that it comes from the Italian word for epiphany, which is epiphania. I'm going to be butchering these Italian words, so do apologize in advance. It became Befania in folk speech and then Befana. This, of course, again refers to the celebration of the Magi's arrival, but also it is possible that her name may come from the word bastronina, which is the gifts associated with the goddess Strena or Strena, an ancient Roman goddess of winter blessings, of gifts, of thresholds, and of the new year. Romans exchanged gifts around the new year called Strenae in her honor. This tradition predated Christianity and aligns perfectly with the La Befana role as a gift giver in treats in early January. Now, we don't know for sure what her origin is, whether her name comes from Epiphany or from Strena, or more than likely a weaving of the two together. She stands as a bridge between two worlds. We were talking, Beth, before the service, how it's funny how so many Christian Christmas traditions either have roots in German culture or paganism. And that is beautiful. It's not a bad thing. How glorious and wonderful is it that we have these rich customs that are woven together from different religions, from different faiths, from different cultural backgrounds. Rather than admonishing it and casting it aside because it's not Christian, why don't we celebrate the fact that they have this glorious, woven together history. And we see, of course, the most famous part of her, the most likely reason for her to have pagan roots is, of course, not only the fact that she is, in fact, a witch, but her broom. Her broom. We have this lovely broom on display. I love this. This is so fabulous to showcase, kind of symbolizing hers. Before Christianity, the broom was one of the most recognized symbols in European folk religion. It was not a symbol of wickedness or malevolence. It was a tool of cleansing, protection, of clearing away stagnant energy, a space to prepare a blessing. Sweeping the threshold is and was a ritual act. Pagans swept not just to clean, but to spiritually reset the home, to sweep away what was harmful, to ready the hearth for a new beginning, to invite good spirits in and spend bad spirits on its way. La Befana's sweeping is directly in line with this tradition. When she leaves a home swept cleaner than when she found it, she is performing a New Year's blessing, a purification, a preparation for what is to come. In this way, she becomes less a witch of fairy tales and more a wise woman of the hearth, a guardian of the threshold, a keeper of renewal, an ancient figure who sweeps away the old so that new blessings can arrive. So here, at the broom and the doorway, the turning of the year, that Christian and pagan traditions meet. She becomes a tool and a symbol of integration rather than contradiction. I love this character so much because we meet her at the doorway of a new year, between what has been and what is becoming, between a Christian story and an ancient memory, between the holy we expect and the holy that surprises us in the journey. She is a reminder that the sacred often arrives disguised as interruption. She is a reminder that we don't always recognize meaning the first time it knocks. She is the reminder that our mistakes, our delays, and our not yets do not disqualify us from the spiritual life. In the Christian telling, she misses the moment, but the story does not end with the missed opportunity. It becomes the starting point of her journey. La Befana becomes a symbol of second chances, the courage to set out anyway, the humility to search with an open heart, and the generosity to bless others along the way. In her older pagan echoes, she carries a broom, not a tool of fear, although I have heard that sometimes she has a tradition of bopping people on the head with her broom. But that's more mischievous, right? That's not meant to harm anybody. It is not a tool of fear, but a tool of renewal, a sign that every threshold can be swept clean, a sign that our hearts, like our homes, can be cleared of what no longer serves us, a sign that new beginnings require making space. Her story teaches us that the old year does not define the new one. We can sweep, we can bless, and we can begin again. La Befana stands as a living reminder that the tradition itself is a threshold, a place where the old wisdom meets new insight, where faith grows richer when we honor the whole story. So what do we take from La Befana this morning? May we honor the paths that we've missed without being imprisoned by them. May we sweep our own thresholds, homes, hearts, and communities, making space for what is yet to come. May we look kindly upon the blending of stories that brought us here and celebrate the beauty that emerges when traditions meet rather than collide. And above all else, may we follow La Befana's example, searching, blessing, and giving, and finding joy in the journey we take, even if it wasn't the one that we expected. Buon Natale.